description down below talks about, or rather is a reminder of what's important when you speak and, starting up arguments can interfere in your spiritual life and ways you need to be aware of. So that's what the link is there down below. So in combination with that and personal issues that I guess I will go into, I don't know how relevant they are to other people, but I'll try. And let me put my phone down here so I can pay more attention here. Honestly, I am angry. And I feel this is a good opportunity, a good time to invest in others who are struggling with this as well. The thing is, between now and when I was younger, I had dealt with anger for over 23 years of my life. So there's a lot of change between now and then. And for anyone else who's in the same book, you can find, the same place. Anyone else can find freedom, not from anger, but from the problems, the complications, the stuff that comes after being angry. The stuff that comes with it, excuse me. We tend to make a lot of mistakes. We tend to lash out, or in some cases, hold it in until you blow up, so to speak. Or stuff goes out sideways, A lot of people have thoughts on how to how to handle anger. That's fine. Listen to them, check it out, see what works for you, what is biblically accurate. There's others who can talk more about this better than me. Now, the biblical part, I was in reference to the video that I just watched from Nick. Again, it's in the description down below. I was vaguely aware that the spiritual realm that there is a spiritual impact on what we say and all of that. I'm aware of that. But this, the woman and Nick go further in depth in this, which is definitely needed. Because some people are so angry, they will lash out, they will say things, they will do things. Now, for me, I tend to sit on it and I try to analyze and figure out not just like why I'm angry, what's going on, but I try to figure out the solutions and I try to stick around things that are true, that are wholesome, that are decent, things that will help lower the stress, lower the anger, things to help counter that. I am not trying to remove anger, but I am trying to lessen the impact. I am trying to get through it. One of the things that Christians struggle with is getting through anger, as far as I am aware of. You need to process anger like you process anything else. Fear, depression, sadness. There is a time limit for it. And you do want to try to go through it so you are not blocked. You are not kept from enjoying your life. You are not kept from God, from wisdom. Like, there's some things you should take into account with this. I'm not necessarily adding anything new, per se, but when it comes down to just being in anger, it's never a place you want to stay at. And coming back to anger, with my personal case here, or rather situation, not a case, it basically ties in with the whole, like, if it doesn't feel fair, So, in short, I've got friends, many of them do not share the same interest. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to try to set things up, to try to get them involved or do something with them, and then just saying no. And the only common ground is basically Bible study. It's like, what, are they really your friend? Are you really their friend? And so it's frustrating trying to figure this out, because it's not wrong to not even share the same interest. It's not like it's a problem. And so earlier today, I was talking to not really a friend of mine, but he's someone who I can talk to at work, and he basically reminded me of the whole layers of friendship and all that. Like, you can have friends on different layers. And I was like, oh, you know what? Thank you. That's actually some good thoughts here on how to handle this. Because you can have friends everywhere and not share the same interest. Trying to process this stuff is tricky. Of course, I've been dealing with this for years. Parents, family, other friends, just not having people around me that share the same interests. I don't know what it is. Like, I've tried. This isn't right or wrong, but how you handle your anger, how you handle your stress and all that can definitely open up doorways and pathways that you should not be going down. Sometimes I think these opportunities are not just put in front of you, but pre-planned. Setting yourself up for, when you try to set yourself up for success, and then only to have Satan or someone else come along and trip you up. Let's just say you should be aware of that so you can avoid it in the future. I think, even though this is not biblical or scriptural, I would just point out that when it comes down to it, think twice before you speak. I am boiling everything down into that. Think twice before you speak. And in some cases, do it, go over it a third and a fourth time. Just try to apply what you've learned to what you're feeling so that you are not going to get stuck. You're not going to not going to make a mistake, that you're not going to lash out and regret it later, because having regrets in this life will weigh you down. Other people have talked about this and the complications, implications on a spiritual level of what this will do to you. And of course, affect your relationships, like with your spouse, your family, your siblings, your kids, if you have kids. I'm 38. Other people my age or younger or whatever, they have kids of their own. This is important. This is especially important because when you have kids, they're going to be watching what you say and what you do. They're going to be mimicking you to an extent. Anger itself is not wrong. It just enables behavior that is wrong. It's just not, you're not be able to see that and process that clearly enough. The thing about anger is you tend to focus, hone in on the problem, the target, the person, the problem that just gets under your skin to the point where you're like, I'm angry, I'm dealing with this. In this particular case, this isn't even something physical. This is not someone or something I can just simply address and talk to and try to figure out. I can't do that. This isn't something physical like that. And so there's a little added stress there because it's, how do you handle that? With some of these people, I question whether or not I'm really friends with. And it may sound stupid, but this has gone on for years. So, like, the people who I've talked with, spent time with tonight, like, I consider them to be friends, despite the fact that we have nothing else in common. Like, it's almost unbelievable just how much I've tried to talk to them and see what we can do together. And it's almost like everything has failed. And other people can relate to this because, not just because of anger, but because of everything that they've tried to resolve this situation. And in some cases, like anger, I think, is not something that is going to be resolved in the way that we hope. When we get angry, the best we can do is either make it work for us in the sense of it being a tool, or to deal with some of the other problems and issues that are stuck in our life. So, like, here's the thing. If anger is going to be in your life, use it like a tool, or use it in a way of a defensive weapon to guard yourself. Remind yourself of truths and go after them, not of other people. The whole Bible verse is talking about, our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of darkness. And everything else in that verse. It's a good reminder, like, those on your left and your right are not your enemies. They're not the ones that you should be attacking or going against or guarding against. Now, don't get me wrong. We may think we're doing right, and even if we are doing right, you still want to be careful, because anger is very proactive. You want to go out and do something, or say something, or whatever. It's something where you want to move. You don't generally sit still in your anger and stew in it. You do something about it. Those who can actually sit there and stew, you really want to be careful, because of the plans and stuff that they're putting together that will really cause you problems and complications. And on top of that, if you're friends with them, you may want to have some serious conversations with them to make sure that they're not rubbing off on you and affecting you in a very negative way that's going to hurt your spiritual walk, your friends, your health. Yeah. I don't exactly have many friends in this world. I've tried. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had good friends over the years, and some of them have moved on with their life. Some may even have passed away. My time in New Hope Academy, which is a part of Teen Challenge, but this particular New Hope Academy actually shut down. I've learned a lot from some people there, and I've seen a lot happen. So, I would like to say I was friends with one or two of them, but, they're probably gone. Being friends with someone, I'm more of adding to the whole thing about anger. Like, being friends with someone, having memories, sharing things. There's a lot that can help you handle your anger appropriately, or at the very least, keep it from going out of control, keeping it from running your life, not just ruining your life. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but being able to be slow to be angry is a blessing for me. But the problem is, even though I'm slow to be angry, I am slow to get out of anger when I get angry. So, actually, there's another situation too that popped up this past Christmas. And I had to go outside of my father and my parents for help. And it's rather important, because I wanted to do a video talking about it, but I ended up deciding against it. I guess I'll reference it, because when you have a problem with your parents and they want to keep things between you and them only, and you need to get help, you need to get help. You can't uphold that wish, that promise, whatever. Because if you need help and they're trying to keep everything secret, how are you going to resolve this? How are you going to get help? How are you going to possibly get unstuck? And so, as it is, the 2 or 3 people that got between me and my parents, I ended up blocking and removing on Facebook, because it is not fair, it is not right to let anyone get between me and my parents, no matter who or what their relationship is to my parents. I don't care if they were friends of the family. I do not care if they were even siblings. And honestly, I would recommend having the same attitude too, because when other people get between you and someone that you care and love, someone that is important to you, it is unacceptable. Set up boundaries, have limits. Going back to anger, these boundaries, these friends, they're going to be a lifesaver in the sense of keeping you from ruining what you are setting up in the future in your spiritual walk, this is incredibly important, because setting yourself up for success only to have it get ruined because of a couple of days or a week of anger, a situation that popped up or whatever, that should be unacceptable. You know, think long term. Don't just think in the moment and stay in the moment. Yeah, there's a lot that's not right, sure. But wanting to get to a better place, making that happen to the best of your ability, does require a little bit of work. Taking care of and dealing with the anger is crucial. It's more of like a crucial in the sense of removing obstacles and removing issues and problems than it is for, you know, setting yourself for success. I mean, you're protecting yourself. I hate this. Here's the thing. Whenever I feel angry, it's not that I return to it, but I do recognize that when I return to my anger, as in I allow myself to feel it, it's never in the same capacity or in the same way as previous. Because I'm aware of a lot more than what I was previously. And I am more mature than I was previously as well. I don't use anger either. That being said, anger is a good way to motivate yourself. It's a good way to get yourself moving, to be proactive. Because in some ways, we humans are meant to be proactive, not reactive. Some people specialize in being reactive, and they can offer thoughts and wisdom and training courses, whatever it may look like. Spiritual warfare is very different in the sense of being reactive, because you have to have connections, you have to have not necessarily equipment, but you have to have skills, you have to have training, recognition of certain things that you can deal with. I'm going to use the Catholic exorcist as an exact example of this, because they respond. They are very good at reacting and responding, and then eventually they set themselves up to take initiative to drive out and to keep the demons, the unclean spirits, and whoever else away from the other people, to the point of like, this object has been cursed and needs to be removed from your life. Like, identification goes a long ways. When you're angry, you tend to skip out on some important things like identification. You're not going to be able to see, if at all, or very well, some of the things in your life that are actually contributing to whatever you're dealing with. Having a clear mind and a still heart goes a long ways. But when you're angry, like, you're not going to keep everything in your mind that is important and relevant. You know, set up boundaries, set up protections, set yourself up for success. Have a support network. For veterans, this is a mandatory. Having a support network is mandatory, because if you don't have it, you're likely to go self-deleting and just saying, screw it, I don't care anymore. Because it's hard to handle, to the point where, and being broken and all that, you get to that same place that you were before, and you're like, I can't handle this like I used to. And you snap, you break. I don't exactly have all the right tools, but I will try to help out where I'm able to. And here's something else too, about counseling and therapy. What was it? We talked about that earlier too. Hopefully it'll come back to me again so I can talk. I could do a short video about that, but that was pretty good. That was a good thought. Because counseling and therapy is very much needed, but it's not. People have a poor view on that, but there was something that hit me, or I saw something, and it was awesome. Hopefully I'll be able to share that. You know, it'll come back later so I can share it. It was pretty good. Anyway, I'm still friends with the people I just visited. I just had Bible study with them. Sure, one of them has issues with me. That's fine, whatever. She, quote unquote, she and I have our disagreements. I can't say this. She disagrees with me on some things, and she has issues with me on other areas. That's fine. I don't particularly care, but know where I stand, and feel free to point out anything that I'm doing that is wrong. I am standing on God's word. I am doing the best that I can. Christ is my focus. And actually, uniquely, I would recommend for other Christians, other people who care about God and Jesus, make Jesus be your focal point. I actually stopped arguing with Mormons, disagreeing, having issues, arguing, etc., with Mormons, Latter-day Saints, people who say they hold to Jesus, and I'm like, great. And then I'll talk about, everything relating to Jesus just to make a point. To see about common ground and get points across and all of that. The thing is, if it's all about Jesus, what's there that's actually going to get between us and be against us? Obviously, finding out that, hey, we don't have anything else in common does actually complicate that, because it's like, all right, so how do we handle this? Can't exactly block people in real life and move on, You can ignore them, you can avoid them, you can just, you can obviously take worse steps than that, sure. I wanted to share some of this stuff about anger. I did. Oh, I am so sorry. I need to finish up with what I was talking about with my parents, too. So the thing is, to fully describe the situation with my parents, I posted something up on Facebook that was, like, hey, the holidays are hard. I'm single. I don't have anyone in my life. And friends or whoever they were, I know one of them was an aunt. I'm not entirely sure who the other person was. But anyway, they were offended for my sister's sake when it was all about, like, I'm struggling here. And that was my entire intention. And so these people got between me and my parents by saying whatever they said. I don't know. I don't know who was that spoke out. I don't even know what the message was about. But it basically got to the point where I was like, I was almost told, we talked about this, me and my parents, we talked about this, but it got to the point where it's like, I'm almost not even welcome home anymore. At that point, I basically removed my parents from my friends list. I blocked them. I blocked everyone, with the exception of those who had passed away, to them, so that there was nothing. No more stress related to anything involving my parents or anyone who knows him who's going to have issues with what I say for whatever reason. And just saying that the holidays are hard, they should not be causing issues like that. And even then, is it okay to, get support from people who supposedly care? I know everyone who is on my friends list, I know. And for the majority, I can't even say that actually, maybe for half. If they know something's happening, they're going to support me. Just like I try to support them as well. If you are a parent and you have kids and you have to deal with them, sure, that's fine. It's recommended that you stay off of social media anyway. So, anyway, I was able to resolve that with my parents, but, like, their home is not exactly a place that I consider to be my home anymore. Because it was threatened to be taken away. I try to uphold the whole, like, what's is said between us stays between us. I try to uphold that. I try to respect that. But in some cases where people wrongfully initiate a problem and an issue, that anger and all that, and so much comes into play, and you're just like, what happened here? And you can't entirely take a step back. You have to try to resolve it to your best of your ability. Finding out as much as you can without letting your anger consume you and take control is critically important. I could have easily lashed out at my parents and broken off a relationship. And to be honest, I think some people do need to do that. They need to have a healthy separation between themselves and their parents. Because the anger just, it's there and it ruins whatever is good, you know? Well, rather, it's more like it ruins whatever potential there is, and it keeps it from growing into something wonderful, beautiful, lasting, something wholesome and healthy. Anger can actually prevent legacies from ever being truly a blessing. I know my parents and other people's parents have struggled with, not my parents, but the parents, like my grandparents, you know, their parents, struggle with alcohol, and they become like totally different people when they're drinking, when they're drunk, whatever. I'm a lightweight. I don't like drink too much, but becoming a different person entirely, and you're just raging against whatever, and then you got abuse coming into the picture with, you know, hitting your spouse, hitting your kids. People are not in control of their anger in that case. Like, get a grip. Fix, you know, take yourself out, calm down, fix some of this stuff. Deal with it. Don't just sit on it. Don't just kick it in the corner and forget about it. Anger piles up like anything and everything else. Actually, one therapist, the gamer therapist or whatever, he had a great point about complaining. Like, you got to get that stuff out, because if you don't, it's going to stay inside, it's going to pile up, and it's going to ruin things else. Not to the same explosive extent that anger can, but like getting gunked up inside for emotions is not healthy. You just get there quickest with anger. Deal with this, process this, get this out. Physically speaking, oh yeah. Spiritually speaking, just going to be complications and issues and all of that. Again, the link is in the description, and I'm going to edit that a little bit so it's going to look a little bit nicer and neater and all that. Right now, it's just the link, and that's it. I just threw that up there, gave it a title, and just popped online, because I was like, man, I'm pissed off. I want to talk about this song. Need to talk about this song. And other people have actually expressed interest in talking, you know, like, we want to hear more about what you're saying about anger here. Now, biblically speaking, and I will say this again, I'm not exactly a broken record, but I will say this again. I refuse to just throw out scripture and just to do a Bible study reading this stuff out. Go to other people who and there's other people I will recommend to go talk to go listen to, to go listen to and talk about this stuff in incredibly wise ways. Because taking an in look at Bible studies and verses matters, but it's not necessarily going to matter to you personally. And that's one of the biggest issues that I have with other people who just, you know, throw out Bible verses. It's not personal. It's not relevant to your life. And if it's not relevant, I need to rephrase that. When they throw out Bible verses, it has a tendency of not being relevant to your life, to your situation right then, right there. Yeah. I think it's good to actually hit this stuff, because then we can deal with it and we can get it out of our lives and we can move forward. We can get unstuck. We can find a way forward. Obviously, getting there is tricky, but, you know, and we can backslide too. There's dangers of backsliding. But there's clear blessings in being able to get through and get by and get around all of this stuff. It really is. It's a blessing. I don't think there's anything left that I can do to add to this topic at this point in time. I mean, I could always bring up specific examples and talk about them, sure, but I'd rather not. With the exception of the one crucial one this past Christmas with my parents and myself. I'm sorry, but that was the first ever almost get to the point where I was not welcome back in my parents' home. Yeah, that's critical. I had to get help. I had to break confidentiality to get help to deal with that situation because I was falling apart. I had never been told that by my parents ever. And me and my parents have a good, strong relationship. We do. Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I'll happily answer them. All right. I'll happily engage with other people. I'm a smaller channel, and that's fine. That's fine. The bigger ones, let's just say they do more on the preaching and teaching than they do with the engagement side of things, which is what I try to specialize in because I believe in discussions. I believe in dialogues. I believe in being able to say, hey, let's sit down. Let's talk. Come on. Work with me here. Thinking back to that one conversation, I mean, I was friends with this Wiccan. Turns out that she was lying and she was a witch. And I was friends with her for like 3 years, but like, whoo, talk about some anger issues there. On her end, not my end. So, yeah, it happens. It happens. Just got to handle this stuff right so it doesn't. So you can limit the repercussions and you don't set yourself up for failure and ruin anything that's good. Also, to end on a Bible verse, let's just say Ecclesiastes and Proverbs do talk a little bit about wisdom and anger and how it is good to not let the sun go down on your anger. Think about that Bible verse. Do not let the sun go down while you are angry. It's worth meditating on. All right, until next time. Take it easy. How do I end this again? I hate this. Oh, my word. How do I end it? End this. How do I end this? There we go.